All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the e-commerce webinar. We're pretty excited today. We've got a great topic all about e-commerce, what the opportunity is, why it's important, and then how you guys as agencies can take that knowledge and take that opportunity to your customers and increase your ROI on those customers or help get new customers with a huge potential. So we're pretty excited to talk with you about this today. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide so you guys can see us. So my name is Cody. I'm the Marketing and Education Manager here at Duda, and we're really excited today. We've got a special guest. Before we get to that, let me just tell you a little bit of housekeeping. We are recording today's webinar, so we will have a replay of this available, so no need to take notes or anything like that. And we'll go ahead and send that out to everybody who's registered, and it'll be available in the Resource Center afterwards. And there will be time for Q&A at the end with our special guest, Eric. Now, Eric is the head of product marketing over at Ecwid. He's an executive with over 20 years of experience in mobile, e-commerce, analytics, everything like that. He's got a great pedigree. He really knows his stuff, especially when it comes to e-commerce, mobile websites, everything. We're really excited to have him. Please welcome Eric.
Well, thank you, Cody. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody taking the time today. So the topic that we want to talk about, as Cody mentioned, is really around e-commerce and what's happening there. And I think, to put some context and perspective on it, I want to talk about some macro trends that are happening in the industry. And so we're going to focus some time on that and just understanding what's going on, what are those trends, where are they going, and what's the opportunity for you relative to those trends that are happening. I'll tell you a little bit about Ecwid and who we are and what we're doing, and then end with some really, hopefully, practical tips and tricks that you can use in thinking about if you're selling e-commerce already, maybe how can you do it better, or if you're not selling e-commerce, how to think about packaging and selling that as well. So that's on the agenda today. There's a couple trends that I think are really fascinating that are happening right now, and we'll talk about it from a few different angles. We'll talk about it from kind of the e-commerce and the retail side, and the SMB side and the consumer side. So to start with the overall retail and e-commerce, we all know what's happening in general with Amazon. We all shop from Amazon. We all buy from Amazon. We know what's happening there. Just to throw some numbers out there, and maybe you guys have seen some of these, but their revenue is absolutely staggering at $125 billion, and their market cap is at $465 billion. And they're just absolutely massive. They're crushing it. But I think if you unpack those numbers a little bit, there's an interesting story behind there to understand what's been happening in the market. So if you look at this slide, and we look at some well-known companies such as Sears, JCPenney, Target, etc. Look at the market value of these things in 2006 versus 2016 and how they've changed. I mean, Sears, I think a lot of us know that story. They're down 96%. But even, kind of more recognized names also such as Target, I mean, also down. And you think about what these companies have in common, and many of them really started as offline traditional retailers, and some of them have taken into online e-commerce, and some of them haven't, but not a lot of them have really done it that well. Obviously Walmart's trying, Target's trying, a lot of these guys are really trying. But then you contrast that to Amazon, and they started at $17 billion. They were the tiny guys back in 2006. And now look at them, $465 billion market cap, over 2,000% change in that 10-year period. And they're absolutely crushing it. And why are they crushing it and everybody else is dropping? Think about it just from what have they done well. They've really been successful in online and really been focused on e-commerce. Now, another perspective on that is, we know that those guys are dropping. Amazon is growing with e-commerce, but even if you take Walmart plus Target plus Best Buy plus all those guys on the right, those add up to $320 billion in market cap. And Amazon's still bigger than all of those guys put together. Again, just perspective on how big and how successful Amazon and e-commerce has been. Another perspective on this is just looking at traditional retail, and again, some of those guys, just visually you can see how much of a decline those that have not taken advantage of e-commerce have continued to decline. And we all know that consumers want to buy online, and we'll talk more about that, but they just, you know, a lot of these companies just simply have not done what Amazon has done and really been thinking about what's happening with the consumer, where they're shopping, how they're shopping. And it's a fascinating trend for us to look at, just that big macro global trend line. And so, you know, here's another one. If you look at kind of total retail sales versus e-commerce sales, the percentage of e-commerce penetration back in 2007 was just over 5%, and now we're approaching, you know, 12%. So you can clearly see what's happening in those that have not gone e-commerce and online versus those that have. So that's kind of the macro picture of what's happening, and what Amazon has really realized in offering products in e-commerce online and doing it really well. And I think that's being driven, as I alluded to earlier, with some consumer trends that are really driving a lot of this. So I want to also throw out some numbers to you guys and some stats, some insights, what's happening. Millennials obviously are driving a lot of these trends, and over half of all purchases made by millennials are online. It's an important number to think about. You know, this is the generation that's coming up. This is the generation that is increasing purchasing power and is going to be influencing everybody else. And they are continuing to move more and more online and make their purchases online. This is a growing and growing trend. And if you look at mobile in particular, there's some fascinating numbers here as well. So in 2013, mobile was at $13 billion, and now it's at $33 billion in 2016. So we've seen a huge growth in mobile commerce. So not only are people buying online, and millennials are buying online, but of course they're buying on mobile. And that's also important, that it's not just buying through web, but they want to be able to buy through mobile. Also, 40% of all purchases are omnichannel, and I want to make sure that we just level set really quickly on this term omnichannel so that we all have the same definition. Omnichannel is really the ability for a business to sell across multiple channels. From the other side, the ability for consumers to buy across different channels. And there's so many channels out there. Of course, there's web, and of course, you know, mobile, as we talked about, is continuing to grow. But now you can buy more and more products on social, such as Facebook's doing a great job, and Pinterest is getting more into it, and Instagram is getting more into it. And now we're starting to get into conversational commerce, being able to make a purchase right from within a conversation, say within some type of messenger, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, WhatsApp, Tango, Line, Viber. All of these messengers are really thinking about how do we create the ability for businesses to sell through the messenger and consumers to buy without leaving that conversation. And that's another important trend. There's other trends coming up, virtual reality, being able to make purchases right from within virtual reality. There's lots of kind of online, offline. So there's all these different channels for consumers to buy through, and those channels continue to grow. Every year there's more and more channels and ways for consumers to buy and businesses to sell. And so that trend of omnichannel purchasing is growing, and we're nearing you know, almost half of those purchases are omnichannel, more than one channel that I want to be able to find products, purchase products, etc. So now that we've taken a look at kind of the big macro global trends in commerce and also what's happening with consumers, let's take a look at what's happening with businesses and merchants, and we focus primarily on small to medium-sized businesses. So SMBs, it's a big part of the market, and they're growing. It's estimated that about 30 million SMBs are in the U.S., and the best number that I've seen is about 150 million SMBs globally right now. It's a big market, and 6 million of those start each year in the U.S. So it's not only big, but it's continued to grow. So you have these SMBs that are big, that are growing, and you look at the stat at the top, only 24% sell online. So yes, there's all these SMBs and all these businesses, but they haven't completely figured out how to get online and sell online. But another interesting trend to think about there is, but they want to, and they are moving online, and they're planning on moving online. They know that's where the opportunity is. So here's a couple more stats for you too. 81% of small businesses plan to invest in technology. So there's an investment and a desire for these businesses to move online, and it's happening, but they're not there yet. And just to kind of put that wrapper back on it, the consumers are really driving this. The consumers are buying online. The consumers are buying omnichannel, and that is driving these businesses to really look at that opportunity that Amazon realized many years ago. And so here's kind of a way of looking at it visually is what the consumers want is on the left. They want to be able to buy on web. They want to be able to buy on social. They want to be able to buy offline and on mobile and through all these different channels, but right now a lot of them just can't. A lot of businesses have not gotten there, and they're moving there, but they're not there yet. So there's this mismatch of consumer desire versus what actually exists. And I think that really paints a picture of an opportunity for you and your customers, and we want to lay that out a little bit more and talk about, okay, these big trends, how do you take advantage of that? How do you grow your business and your customers with these trends that are happening? So we think it comes down to a couple different things. On the acquisition side, being able to offer small e-commerce to your customers is an opportunity for you to differentiate, for you to be able to win those deals by not just offering one or two services, but really by expanding that out. And we'll dive into that a little bit more, not just the technology piece, which is critical, but also the services that are tangential and related to that core technology to really be able to provide the full end-to-end solutions. So you can win more deals. It gives you an opportunity to grow your business by taking your existing customers and growing those customers as well. Those that are in e-commerce, we'll talk about how can you better build those businesses up with e-commerce. Those that are not in e-commerce, how can you offer that to those customers or prospective customers and really drive up the ARPU, the average revenue per user, by leveraging e-commerce. So we'll talk more about that, but I think what we've seen in the ecosystem around Ecwid is that a lot of businesses have been able to take advantage of these trends and create opportunities for themselves and their customers. There is a lot of advantages to e-commerce. It is a pretty easy sell. Again, everybody buys from Amazon. Everybody understands consuming products and buying products online. Because it's cloud-based these days, there's no more, I have to install something and manage that and watch the versioning. It is just cloud-based and it works, and we'll talk more about that, but it is simple to get going. The tools are all built in, and it's very, very easy to make money off of e-commerce for you and for your businesses. So now that we've talked a little bit about the opportunity, I also want to just introduce Ecwid a little bit. For those of you who are not familiar with Ecwid, who we are, what we do, and how we fit into this puzzle. Ecwid is an e-commerce platform that really addresses the problem that we've laid out earlier in terms of thinking about the consumer trends and what the buyers want and what's happening within the SMB space, and really bringing those together in a seamless way to help those SMBs to address those needs and take advantage of those consumer trends. And for us, it's all about omnichannel. Going back to that concept of we just want businesses to be able to very simply sell products across any channel, any website, any device, any POS, any social, any marketplace. By marketplace, I mean eBay and Google Shopping and Yahoo Shopping and Nextag, etc. So we'll talk more about that, but that is an important way for, if I'm a small business, I want to be able to put my products into an e-commerce platform, click a button, and boom, I'm selling across all those different channels, really addressing that consumer demand that is out there and that is continuing to grow. We're really excited about the partnership that Ecwid and Duda have. We've been partners since 2014, and Duda has been absolutely fantastic. And what Ecwid and Duda have done together is have completed a very tight and seamless integration between the two platforms. It's white labeled, so you don't see Ecwid in there, but we're powering the e-commerce. And this tight integration really allows you and your customers to take advantage of the power of Duda and the power of Ecwid in one seamless platform. So that's been fantastic, and Duda's been an incredible partner as well. And we're available anywhere that Duda's in as well. So there's no limitations in terms of geographics. And speaking of geography, Ecwid is really focused on being a global company. We're in over 175 countries. Our platform's in over 50 languages, over 55 different payment gateways. And so we constantly think about how do we make sure that we are global for you guys, regardless of where you are, where you're selling, your customers are selling, whoever is buying from whatever country, it doesn't matter to us. And we support that through all these different languages and shipping providers, and do things such as specific certifications, such as about a month ago we launched our German certification. I think we're the only e-commerce platform out there that has this. And so we're looking at all the different ways that we can provide expertise and ease of use and functionality in a variety of different geographical locations, regardless of where customers are and where the buyers are. Of course, we are secure, scalable, and compliant. That is table stakes. We are one of the few that actually not just PCI DSS, but level 1 certified, which is the highest level. It's the gold standard for security, and that's important to us. And we know that privacy and security and stability is absolutely critical. And to that last bullet on zero maintenance, I mentioned that. I just want to focus on that one more time, is because we're cloud-based, there's no software to install, there's no software to maintain, there's no software to upgrade. We do all that for you. We're on it every day, making sure that it's secure and updated, and every updates and the latest and greatest that we're pushing out, that you're getting those. We're also proud of how robust our e-commerce platform is. There's lots and lots of functionality that I can talk about, of the ability for you and your customers to be able to manage the store incredibly easily in a very intuitive interface is something that we focus on. And again, as I said earlier, being able to manage that from one place and be able to impact all those different channels. So when I make one tiny change to the pricing or to a photo of my product here, it's updated on Facebook, it's updated on eBay, it's updated on web, it's updated on mobile. It's updated everywhere, and everything is always kept in sync. Mobile leadership is something that we absolutely focus on. I'll speak to more of that in a second. We're integrated with more POS systems than any other e-commerce platform out there. We talked about the payments options. That is incredibly important to us, and as more payment options become available in a variety of different countries, then we're always looking at who are those payment providers that we can integrate with, make it very seamless. And of course, you and your customers have the choice of whatever payment provider you want to use. Shipping is something that also, from a global perspective, we want to make sure is easy. And so not only are there a variety of different shipping options for you and your customers, but also we do the heavy lifting in the background, not only for shipping, but also for taxes, in automating all that, so that I don't want to have to think about doing manual calculations for shipping or manual calculations for taxes. I want to hit that auto calculate within the Ecwid control panel and have all those automatically updated. And so whatever consumer comes and wants to make a purchase from whatever country, it's automatically calculated. I don't have to think about that, and all the hard work is done by Ecwid. And of course, there's store analytics as well. We want to make sure that you see what's happening and all the orders that you and your customers are getting, and be able to make real-time decisions on what's working well and how you can continue to optimize it. So that's just a quick snapshot of some of the different features that are in Ecwid, and of course there's lots more. But I want to talk a little bit more about mobile, because mobile is incredibly important to us, and of course a huge trend, as we talked about, with consumers, and how consumers more and more want to be buying products through mobile, and being whether it's mobile web or mobile app. And so just as Duda does, we also focus very much on making sure that all of the storefronts are all responsive, that regardless of what screen size, what device, it's always going to be optimized, it's always going to look beautiful. And so the Ecwid store within the Duda site is going to look beautiful regardless of those different dimensions and devices. Also, we do believe that being able to manage your online store should be done from anywhere. And so we have, because we're in the cloud, we have a web interface that you and your customers can log into. We also have mobile apps, both iOS and Android, that you can manage the store through. So everything you can do on the web, you can do through the mobile app, in terms of I want to add new products, I want to change the price, I want to run a promotion or add a coupon, or I want to check to see how many orders I got this morning, and do some analytics on that. I want to change some settings. Whatever that might be, you can do that from any device, including mobile app that we provide. POS, point of sale, and mobile point of sale is, as I mentioned, also critical, especially for any customers that do online, offline. And with the mobile point of sale, Ecwid is already integrated with Square and PayPal here to be able to offer in a variety of different countries the ability to make purchases on the go. And we know that that's also an important channel for a lot of customers, that whether I'm in my store or I'm on the road or I'm at an event or I'm at a trade show or I'm at a fair or festival or wherever that I want to be able to sell my products, that I want to be able to take credit cards or cash right there and be able to do it mobily. So those integrations with Square and PayPal here are already complete. And exciting to also announce that our integrations that we've done with NCR and Square and others also will be rolled out on the Duda platform very shortly. So that's something that we've heard a lot of demand from Duda partners, that they really want to do POS integrations, especially with some of the top names like NCR and Square. And what does this allow? What does this integration do? It allows companies to sell online and offline and have everything synchronized. All the orders are synchronized between online and offline, and all the inventory is synced online and offline too. So regardless of where those changes are happening, the orders are happening, and the inventory is being changed, it's all synchronized across those different devices. That's something that a lot of our customers and Duda partners really, really like. There's also an interesting use case that has been growing, and that is the ability to buy online and pick up offline. And we call that order pickup. And so within the Ecwid platform, you have the ability to do that if you want to do that. Of course, lots of companies just want to use shipping, and that's great. But a lot of companies also want to do shipping or the ability to order online and pick up offline. And that could be order online, pick up offline, or order online, pay offline, and pick up offline. There's various ways of doing that. And that's something that's built right into the platform that has lots of different uses. You know, restaurants is a great example of flowers or delicates or jewelry or things like that. Payments, I briefly mentioned, there's over 50 payment providers, all the big names that you would expect. Those are already fully integrated and available for you to choose. Shipping, as I mentioned, again, lots of different shipping options regardless of what country your customers and the consumers are in, fully integrated already. And so that's a bit on Ecwid, who we are, and what the capabilities of our e-commerce platform are. And I just want to end with some practical tips and tricks on, okay, I'm selling e-commerce. How do I sell e-commerce? I'm new to this, or I've been doing it for a little while. I just need additional tips and how to do that. So there's a variety of ways that you can do this, and I'll give you just some ideas of things that we have seen work well in the industry already. And before I get into those, I think it's also important to look at different customer profiles, different ways that people can use e-commerce. Because of course there's all the obvious ways that, okay, I'm going to buy a book, I'm going to buy it online, and apparel and things like that, the typical retailers. But as I mentioned, food and beverage and restaurants in general is a very fast and growing segment that more and more people, especially when we factor in some of the delivery. So now you have Chally and DoorDash and Eat24 and Uber Eats, etc. All these delivery companies, a fast-growing technology that I want to buy online and I want to deliver to my house, and that's a great experience. So you can do that with the Ecwid e-commerce platform. Nonprofits is another interesting one that a lot of people don't think about is, hey, I have a lot of customers that are in the nonprofit space. I don't think of that as e-commerce. Well, actually, we have quite a few nonprofits that take donations through their website or through these different channels. And so nonprofits is also a big and growing segment for you to think about. Events, a lot of companies are selling tickets online. Do you have any of your customers or prospective customers that are in that space of, whether it's tickets for events or tickets for other things? Downloadable goods, obviously that's big. Ecwid is set up and already doing that. It's got a full section functionality dedicated just for electronic goods, downloadable goods. So there's a couple examples there for you, ebooks and recipes, and we've seen so many different use cases of I don't want to have to ship, I just want to be able to let them download, and boom, I don't have to deal with any type of shipping or delivery. And then of course there's lots of services that you can buy and purchase online. Again, do you have any customers that are doing any of these types of services listed here? And those are just a few examples that want to be able to sell their services and allow people to buy these services online. So those are just a few examples of ways that you can offer e-commerce to so many more types of customers than just your typical retailers. Now, from a how to market, how to sell perspective, there's lots of things that you can do in acquisition of new customers. There's, e-commerce adds the ability to really offer a more differentiated way of bringing in new customers that perhaps are looking for lots of different products and services. Maybe these are some of your bigger customers that now you can say, hey, in addition to your website and these other product services, now we also can just click, and you have e-commerce up and running. And that's a great way to offer a differentiated service and product. There's also, we'll get into the different services, but the e-commerce piece also really helps in terms of the marketing, such as website and email and social media, etc. And as I mentioned with omnichannel, it is a way for you to really go out and acquire new customers by telling the omnichannel story that perhaps you didn't have as much as before, or maybe not much at all before. And so it allows you to really tell a much more broader story as you're acquiring new customers. And on the upsell side, as I mentioned, you have your basic customers right now, and how do you continue to grow? How do you grow the average revenue per user? E-commerce is a fantastic way of doing that by saying, hey, by the way, we've provided your website, we provide these other services. I noticed that you want to sell online, you're thinking about selling online, or you have these products that's listed, but you're not actually selling them online, you're only selling offline. Hey, this is a whole new revenue stream for you, and so that's an opportunity for your customers and, of course, an opportunity for you. And then on retention, we've seen this time and time again that e-commerce is a great way for you to lock in your customers and really to reduce churn, increase retention, increase LTV for your customers that really are loving the e-commerce, loving the website, loving your service, loving e-commerce, and it's just all the more reason that they want to stay with you. And just on a couple tips on the messaging, we do see that those that really don't just offer it as another checkbox or another feature, but really approach it as a comprehensive solution that you're packaging together, really helps for them to think about, you're helping to solve my need much better than just, okay, just e-commerce as a checkbox. And we'll talk about packaging in just a second. And on that last bullet point, I just want to reinforce that point that I made earlier, which is, many years ago, e-commerce was about, I'm going to download some PHP software and install it. And again, everything's cloud-based. There's no installation. There's no maintenance. We do all that for you. Now, we do, as I mentioned, recommend bundling. And bundling can be done in many different ways for you to think about. And again, it's a great way for you to message what you're offering in a more cohesive way that they can understand you're solving my need. And so here's a couple of different options for you. One is one-time do-it-for-me site and store build. And that's essentially you're gonna offer the ability to build the basics of their site, get it up and going, and then you're kind of handing over the keys to them. Okay, now they're gonna just maintain it. Another option is one-time do-it-for-me site, store, build, and setup. So this is a way, again, for you to offer more services, make more revenue by also saying, hey, if you want, we can help you with getting the products in there, creating, doing the settings and configuration, and maybe, oh, you want to run some promotions and coupons, we can do that for you, and then handing over the keys. And then the third option is really managed services, and this is where I think it's a beautiful thing because you can then lock them in to paying you a monthly recurring revenue. It's predictable revenue for you. that not only do you set it up, but you maintain it for them. And it's easier for them that they don't have to think about it, and you can do all those things that you know need to be done on a regular basis, and keep it optimized, and you're making more revenue, and they're kind of handing that over to you, and so that's kind of a win-win. And of course, you know, if you want to do a la carte, there's always that. But again, we believe that bundling has typically had a better outcome than just offering a la carte. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is just around when you're offering e-commerce, there's so many services that you can think about offering that are related to e-commerce that, again, are a great opportunity for you to make more money, for you to grow your ARPU, and really to improve retention with your customers. Marketing services is a great one. Great, so you're going to have e-commerce on your site. Let's help you to market that. And that might be things like logo design and branding that we have in there. Oh, you want great high-quality pictures of your products and you don't have those. Yeah, we can help you with photography there. There's also, great, you want to make sure that you're driving people into your online store. We can help you with the digital advertising. We can help you with SEO and social media and all those different types of marketing. On the technology side, there's lots of different types of technology services that you also can offer, and just in terms of goods. So you want to integrate e-commerce and your website with some of these other, great, we can do that, or we can find someone that can do that. Or it might be around email and communications that we can, you know, offer email around this and tie it directly into e-commerce, so that, you know, those email notifications go out, and different ways of kind of using email connected with e-commerce. And of course, you know, lots of agencies and companies like you guys, you know, offer backup services and security services and things like that that really kind of fit nicely into you know, e-commerce and services like this. And then finally, business consulting, great, you know, especially on the do-it-for-me managed service, as I mentioned, good. So we can manage your inventory. We can make sure that that's not only set up and managed within e-commerce, but, you know, potentially outside of that, and help you think about business processes and best practices across, you know, different touch points, especially if your customers are doing online, offline. And so lots of ways that you can upsell and grow revenue that are tangential and related to e-commerce. So I wanted to give those to you as well. So that's it for me. I hope this is helpful in terms of understanding some of the macro trends that are happening in e-commerce, consumer trends, understanding a little bit more about Ecwid and how Duda and Ecwid work really well together in great partnerships, as well as some practical tips and tricks. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I'll hand it back over to Cody.
Thank you so much, Eric. That was a fantastic presentation. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I know I certainly got a lot out of it, and I've been looking at the deck all week, so it was useful for me as well. So, all right, guys, Eric's going to stick around and answer some questions. We've got a little bit of time here left over, so if you do have questions for Eric or questions for me, if you can go ahead and type those into the questions box, we'll go ahead and go through those questions and do our best to answer them. I can see that some of you have already started asking some questions, so we'll just kind of go first come, first serve here. Bobby asks, he says, my biggest concern will be taxes. Perhaps not today, but as we go down the line, more and more states and counties will want to collect sales tax. So, Eric, what is your response to that? I know you mentioned automated tax calculations as one of the slides. What's the plan to help these guys going forward with dealing with increasing the sales tax and more complicated tax laws?
Yeah, Bobby, great question. And, you know, I just want to talk a little bit about that, because that is one reason that, you know, some people think, okay, that sounds complicated, taxes, how do I deal with it? And the way that Ecwid addresses that is we do everything on the back end for you so that you don't have to worry about that. And yes, there are some changes. in Ecwid, in the Ecwid platform, you have the ability, as I mentioned earlier, to choose auto-calculate those taxes, or I want to do the manual calculation of those taxes. So you and your customers have the choice, however you want to do those taxes, or for instance, some will do it manually because they want to be able to pay for the taxes themselves, and they don't want the sales tax to show up when someone's going through the checkout process. And you'll see this, when you buy online, is, hey, we're going to pay for the sales tax for you, and it's an extra incentive to buy. And of course, many companies will just bump up the price, and really it's just included in the price and it's paid on the back end. But so there's different ways of managing that. But if you choose auto-calculate taxes, again, Ecwid does all that. We have the experts here that know all the different tax laws. We're on it, and as things change, then the software automatically changes. And we also have some tax experts with another partner that we also consult with on a regular basis, that we make sure that not only are we aware of the tax laws, but the software is always kept up to date. And again, this is not just state to state in the U.S., but this is handled globally as well. So we just try to make it as easy as possible for you, so you don't have to worry about it, and we do all the heavy lifting on the back end.
Great. Fantastic. We've got another question here from Cameron. Cameron actually asked this a few times. He's pretty emphatic about it, about Secure Pay. He says that he has Duda eCommerce with Ecwid, and he loves it, but his customers want integration with Secure Pay, saying that securepay.com.au is Australia's second largest third-party payment gateway, and they're integrated with Australia Post. We already have Ecwid integration with Australia Post, but not with securepay.com.au. Are there any plans to integrate this? His customers would really like it, etc. Can you comment on that?
Well, I can comment generally, and Cameron, I'm sorry I don't know the specifics. What I can tell you, and I can go back to our payment team and get a better answer for you and follow up with you afterward, but what I could tell you is our goal is to offer as many different payment options as possible, and Australia is a big market. In fact, we just launched some new things in Australia just a couple months ago, and we'll continue to see lots of growth in Australia. So I don't know specifically about Secure Pay and where it is on our product roadmap, but happy to talk to you offline and see if I can get a more specific answer on timing there.
Great. Okay, Brian's asking, in terms of integrating different mediums of sales, for example, e-commerce versus retail, is there a way to create an affiliate system with the Duda platform and Ecwid?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't believe so, Brian. I know that Ecwid's set up for making e-commerce sales and everything. I don't think you guys have like an affiliate system, right?
Well, we do. I'm just trying to think of how it works specifically with Duda. So we do have our own affiliate program, but how that might, if Brian, you're interested in an affiliate program, Duda plus Ecwid, then that's probably something to talk about offline. If it's an affiliate program specifically just with Ecwid, then you can go to ekwid.com and click on partners, and you'll see the affiliate program that we have in place right now.
I think the impression that I got from the question is that he's talking about for the e-commerce merchant, right? So it would be like an affiliate program for the merchant. Is that correct, Brian? Maybe you can clarify exactly what the intent is for that affiliate program so we can better answer that question. Another question also from Brian. He says, you mentioned offering ongoing services. Is there a way to set up recurring service billing?
So that I'd need to get back to. I believe there is, but since with the integration with Duda, I'd need to get back to you on that, but I believe there is.
Okay. All right, let's see. Stuart is saying, I couldn't use the Duda version of Ecwid. I have to use the native Ecwid because there are more features, available plugins, etc. Can you please comment on how Duda will address this? That's a really great question, Stuart. Yeah, so we're definitely aware that the integration that we have with Duda, between Duda and Ecwid, doesn't have the full scope of features that the Ecwid platform, that's the vanilla Ecwid platform, has. The benefit that you get there by using the one integrated with Duda is that it's built into your store by default. It's almost like, it feels like a native part of your Duda editor, and the experience is very seamless. If you're familiar with editing a Duda site, it's just a couple clicks, it's installed automatically, and you can manipulate and customize the store experience directly inside your Duda site. It's completely mobile, responsive, and the setup is way easier. And it's also white labeled when you share it with your customers. You can definitely go and use the generic Ecwid and put that in, but that will require using the custom code, embedding it, etc., to bring it over into your site. So it's a little bit different as to how that works. I can tell you that we do have plans to increase the amount of features from Ecwid that we're bringing over, when we have future plans to further the development, to tighten the integration between Ecwid and Duda, coming up later this year, actually. Eric, did you want to comment on that at all?
Well, I think Cody covered it pretty well, but what I'll say is that, I mean, at Ecwid, we're releasing literally every day, new features every day, and a lot of those, of course, are smaller. And we work very closely with Duda, and they're constantly reviewing, those new things that are coming out. And so both on the Ecwid side, you'll see more and more. From the Duda side, you'll see more and more. And as Cody mentioned, they're constantly looking at, what are those new features that we can add into that piece of it. So, over time, I think you're going to see that improve significantly.
Okay, let's see. Looks like Cameron's saying is customers on Ecwid have a problem with the way Ecwid rounds up and down GST tax. Okay, that's a lot of specifics there. Unfortunately, Cameron, I don't think we're going to be able to troubleshoot this issue during the webinar here. It might be the sort of thing that you'd contact either Duda or Ecwid support to kind of look more in depth into that issue with that particular rounding error that you're seeing. Patty's asking, Eric, would it be unreasonable to ask you to do a quick demo of how to build a store?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have time today, but Patty, we can set something up offline, and someone can do a demo for you.
Saul is asking about the tickets. Do you have examples of the events tickets?
Oh, I not off the top of my head, but I have them somewhere. I could get some of those for you. One thing you could probably do is just do a general internet search for Ecwid event tickets, or something like that, and I'll bet a bunch of them will pull up. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples. But if you want to follow up with me afterwards, I can give you some of my favorites.
Okay, awesome. And Patty, if you're curious about seeing a demo of how to set up a store, contact our CS team or our support team. They'll be happy to share with you some videos on how to set up a store, an Ecwid store in Duda, very quickly. It's really fast, actually. So. Cameron's saying, can you please explain what Duda customers get regarding white-labeled support for the e-commerce features of Ecwid? I'm not quite sure what you mean by white-labeled support. So as far as what white-label features are supported, yeah, your entire e-commerce store can be brought over into Duda from Ecwid, and when customers are shopping on it, they're not seeing the Ecwid branding. When your clients have logged into the white label version of the editor and they're making updates, they're not going to see Ecwid, and instead they're going to see something called Storefront, which is what we call it inside of there. All of our documentation and support materials for the e-commerce store say Storefront on our white label support portal. So we do have documentation available for that. Our customer service reps don't respond in like a white labeled support manner to those customers though. So our support team itself is not white labeled, but the product is white labeled, as well as the support materials are white labeled as well. Ralph is asking about Amazon and eBay integration.
Okay. Yes, so Ralph, we have an eBay integration right now that you can take advantage of. So within Ecwid, you can choose marketplaces. Again, going back to what I mentioned before, we might want to make it easy. Put your products in. You say, I want to sell on web, on mobile, and marketplaces, on Facebook, etc. And when you go into marketplaces, then you get to choose eBay and all the other types of marketplaces. So the eBay integration is done, and the Amazon integration is coming soon.
Excellent. Kevin says it would be nice to see some pricing examples of those bundles so that we can tailor them to our markets. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point, Kevin. Unfortunately, we don't have pricing examples today, but maybe it's something we can look at including in some future materials or a future webinar.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gareth is asking, are they going to be able to do PPC tracking products in Google Analytics?
So in Ecwid, that does exist. I'm not quite sure if Duda has implemented that part of it yet. Cody, do you happen to know?
I do know that you can use Google Analytics to track conversions, and you can add that to custom forms within the Duda editor. There's actually a field for adding conversion tracking code inside the Duda editor. As far as specific products go in Ecwid, I'd have to look into that and get back to you. I don't have an answer for that off the top of my head. That's a really good question, though. Adam is asking, how does a company that offers services such as a landscaping company that quotes different prices for different jobs use e-commerce on their site? Invoices?
Most of the services that we've seen going through Ecwid do have some type of pre-designated service pricing, and of course there's always an option for custom pricing. So it's service 1 is X, service 2 is Y, service 3 is Z, and then you have a custom request, and then there's essentially a open form that they can type in, this is what I want, and then essentially kind of get back to them with a custom price. So that's typically what we see there.
Right, I would think it would be pretty easy to set up like different pricing tiers, at different price points depending on that, and then as he's going out quoting different jobs, try to fit them into one of those tiers. But I think there's a few different strategies you guys can use for that. Mike is asking if there's any regulations or restrictions to selling salon products online inside the U.S. And I do not know the answer to that.
If you're asking about policies from the Ecwid side, no, we do allow that. If you're asking about federal regulations or state regulations, I don't know, but I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any either. Let's see. Cameron is asking, how does shopping cart abandonment? How does Ecwid deal with shopping cart abandonment?
Yep, great question. So within the Ecwid platform, there's analytics, and then there's also different ways for you to see that within Ecwid, so that you can see how many carts were abandoned. You can look at your abandonment rate, and of course that's really valuable information and very actionable information, so that you can optimize against it, and of course continue to reduce that. So there are some tools built in directly in the Ecwid platform for that.
Excellent. Eric is also asking about the recurring payment options. There's another question about that. Robert's saying, are we able to use the Ecwid marketplace It's a great way to expand, and my biggest concern.
With Duda, I don't know if Duda, Cody, do you know if Duda's put the marketplace in the Duda version?
Yeah, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not terribly familiar with the Ecwid marketplace. Forgive me for that.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, and marketplace could be either, you know, eBay and Google Shopping, as we mentioned. We call that marketplace, and we also have an app market. So it could be one of those two.
Right. I think we do have some of the marketplace options in there. I think we have, like, I know we have like the social promos, like you can put your store into Facebook really easy using the Duda Ecwid integration. We have the app. I thought we also had the eBay integration available as well for the marketplace. We don't have the app store or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure we have those other ones. So, Robert, maybe you could follow up with like specifically what what your goal is with that, and like why it's important to your business, and then we can take a look at it, and definitely I'll share that feedback with our product team so they can take that into consideration when they're looking at which features they're porting over. Glenn is saying, I have a current client who wants to do a store makeover. I've not been able to get some of my questions answered, and I don't see features like product reviews or loyalty rewards. So,
okay.
Looks like product reviews and loyalty rewards are those features that Ecwid might have or will be coming at a future point.
Well, we have, so in terms of overall makeovers, actually let me address those two. Those two we do have, but they're apps in the app market, which it sounds like Duda does not have right now, but I assume they're probably considering. And then in terms of when I heard Makeover, I was also thinking about the storefront design also. So if you're also referring to the storefront design, there is a significant enhancement that will be released soon that will allow a lot more flexibility in the storefront design and a much more beautiful storefront design.
Nice. John is asking if Canada Post is included in the shipping options. I don't know offhand.
I'd have to look. I'm sorry, I don't know. I would think so, but I would need to double check.
Yeah, John, there's really a lot of shipping providers available inside of there. And even if the particular shipping provider that you want, you don't see it in there, you also have options to charge a certain amount, like a flat rate for shipping to certain geographical zones. So if you know roughly what the shipping will be to a certain area, you can set a fixed amount for that, and then do it by zip code or postcode or something like that. So there's some options even if it doesn't exist in there. The Ecwid system is pretty flexible for things like that. Drickus is saying, thanks, you guys rock. Thank you, Drickus.
Thank you.
Glenn is saying, how can I get Duda Ecwid store on Facebook, eBay, etc.? You can definitely do that with the Duda Ecwid integration. I can't walk you through the process right now because we're just about out of time, but we can follow up with you with actually made a tutorial video on doing it with the Facebook store. So it's a lot more easy than you would think, and we'd be happy to share that information with you guys.
Yeah, hugely popular. And just really quickly, I wanted to go back to the previous because I looked it up while we were talking. Canada Post is included.
Nice. Great. Let's see, another question. How are email marketing platforms integrated, such as GetResponse, to leverage shopping cart abandonment follow-up to successful customers to resell?
Yep. There are a number of email marketing integrations in our app marketplace, and so I think that would be something that we'd have to talk to Duda about, is seeing if there's opportunity to integrate with that.
Yeah, it's great feedback, Cameron. Let's see, Brian is asking, how does billing work with the Duda platform? Right now we charge our customers directly, but in setting up an Ecwid store, how do we collect payment info? Is there an affiliate rate for setting this up for our clients? So Brian, when you set up an Ecwid store, that's on Duda's side, that's just an additional part of the plan. So we actually have e-commerce plans that include the price of the e-commerce store. When it comes to your clients collecting payments, when you set the store up for them, you would be setting it up with their payment gateway info so that your clients or your customers would be receiving the payments from their store directly. So you wouldn't be touching any of that, right? You'd just be setting up the store, and then you'd be charging them an additional fee, like Eric mentioned in the presentation, for like your bundle and your service for maintaining their store. And so the payments would be directly between you and your clients. You'd be charging them extra for it. You're paying Duda a little extra to use the e-commerce features and the e-commerce platform that Ecwid is integrated with us for. And then your clients would just collect whatever revenue they collect from their online store. Bill is asking, is there a pricing advantage for us? The volume of Ecwid and Duda should give us the ability to offer great rates, correct? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill, so our e-commerce plans are definitely reasonably priced, especially considering the value that you get from Ecwid. They're a rock-solid platform. The integration with Duda is just fantastic. I think that it's one of our better integrations that we have. The Ecwid features really feel like a native part of the Duda platform. It's really easy to use. There's a ton of options. I've had all sorts of questions, and people come to me trying to figure out how to do certain things in e-commerce, and usually we can figure out a way to do it with the Ecwid system. So it's really powerful, it's really flexible, and we think it's really fairly priced. If you look at the marketplace of other e-commerce providers, we think it's a great solution, especially if you're already selling websites on Duda. It's a no-brainer. John is saying, is it possible to offer free express shipping for a day or two as a promotion?
Yes.
Yes, you definitely can. You can actually, even with some of the Ecwid features that are out there now, you can actually look at repeat customers who've bought from you a certain number of times, and even offer them a discount on their order based on how many times that they've purchased from you. Or if their purchase is over a certain amount, you can reduce the price of shipping for them. So for example, you could offer something like, for orders of $50 or more, you get free shipping. You can absolutely do something like that in Ecwid. Stuart is saying, when will the Duda version have the same features as the native Ecwid version? So Stuart, like Eric kind of mentioned before, Ecwid is not a static platform. They're constantly developing new features every day, and same thing with Duda. We're constantly changing. We deliver new features every week, and they're not always going to match perfectly, but we've brought over, in our first round of integrations, we brought over a lot of important features, and we're continuing to improve that, and we're continuing to bring more features over, and we've got some deeper integrations planned for this year on our roadmap to bring more of those new features over, but it's never going to be one-to-one equivalent, so it's never going to be identical, but we should have most of the things. And if you see something that's on the plain version of Ecwid that you don't see in the Duda version that you'd like us to consider including, please share that feedback with us. We'd love to hear it and take it into consideration. Suzanne is saying, how would you recommend integrating an online restaurant menu with online store ordering?
Yeah, there's a lot of good examples. In fact, I was just looking at some this morning. If you want to see a cool example of that, check out Old World Pizza. And I think it's oldworldpizza.ca. It's a Canadian company, but they've done a fantastic job, and they're a pizza company, so you have lots of different menu options and ways that you can build your pizza. And so lots of kind of restaurants are using this online, offline, and it's easy to configure because within Ecwid you have the ability to create a lot of different ways of offering up your menu items. What kind of toppings, and I want a gluten-free crust, and then I want this half, I want this to be pepperoni and this other half to be veggie, and all that you can configure right from within Ecwid. And then you have that order pickup that I mentioned, order online, pick up in store, or if you want to just have it all delivery, that's all ready for you within Ecwid.
Nice. See, Bobby is saying that we have a nonprofit that wants to sell raffle tickets but wants and needs to keep the current site. Do you have a solution to keep the current site? So Bobby, my first inclination as someone who works for Duda is to tell you this is a great opportunity to upsell them on a site redesign on a new site with Duda. But if they definitely want to keep their current site, you could use Ecwid and integrate that with their current site. But you'd be using Ecwid directly outside of the Duda integration. Sharik is saying, do we buy Ecwid services separately, or is it through the Duda system? Ecwid is built into Duda. So when you go to add an e-commerce store to your Duda site, over in the left side panel, you'll see e-commerce store. You click on that, and you add that store. It's built into the Duda system. Every store on Duda gets a free 10-product e-commerce store with Ecwid, so you can have that at no additional cost. It goes up over 10 products. You'll need to get like the 100-product store or a larger store, depending on what your needs are, what your customers' needs are. But if you just want to get your feet wet, you can go ahead and try it out right now on any of your Duda sites at no extra charge. Just add a 10-product e-commerce store and check out the settings, check it out. It works really well with Duda, and all the billing is done directly through Duda. Some of the other more advanced, I don't want to say more advanced, but some of the other pros that have more advanced integrations that are doing the plain version of Ecwid that they've brought over and custom integrated with, in that sort of situation, you would be paying Ecwid directly instead of being billed through Duda. Oh, Brian did follow up on his affiliate question. He says, yeah, he was asking about for the merchant. So it would be an affiliate program for the merchant. So if I understand that correctly, it would mean that he'd be able to build an e-commerce store for his customer, the merchant, and then that merchant would be able to have an affiliate program where if people referred sales to that merchant store, those people would then get paid out as affiliates. I don't believe you guys have anything like that, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'd have to double check and get back to you.
Let's see. Glenn's asking a question. I think you just answered this actually about the restaurant vertical and supporting different options such as pizza toppings, etc. So I think that's good. Comment from Dean that he would be interested in finding out about subscription payment options in the Duda Ecwid integration, and if you could please follow up with him about that.
Okay.
Stuart's commenting that using Ecwid inside of a Duda site, the response time is a little poor. Please comment about that. Stuart, I don't have an update for you on that. If you are experiencing some slowdown, if you could please send that feedback into our support team, we'd definitely like to take a look at it and just take a look at your store and see what's going on so we can look to improve the performance because we definitely like to have our sites load as quickly as possible. Cheryl's asking, are you able to have a unique URL for each product listing in the Ecwid store? And I can answer that. Actually, yes. Yes, you can. That's one of the features that we brought over recently, that for each product in your Ecwid store, you can have a unique URL for it. Saul is asking, this is a question for you, Eric. Do you have Ecwid templates, or do we have to integrate with other platforms like Duda to get their stores up and running?
What kind of templates?
I think he's talking about like website templates. Ecwid doesn't sell websites, right? So it's an e-commerce platform. You have to integrate with some kind of website builder, right?
Correct. I mean, yes, essentially. We do have kind of a basic thing, but really it's through Duda, and get your website through them, and they have all the templates, and then we provide the storefront, of course.
Yeah, and so we do have several e-commerce templates that are built specifically for stores. So I definitely recommend checking those out. Okay, Garrett's saying thanks. Facebook is great. Bill's asking which bank will be processing through the U.S. And I believe that question, and Eric can correct me if I'm wrong, that really depends on who you're using as your payment gateway. If you're using PayPal or Authorize.net or a different payment gateway, it will be a different bank, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, there's lots of different payment providers that use different banks.
Okay, another question here. Is there a way to place restricted access to the e-commerce store? Meaning the store will open only to clients that will send a unique login and password for client as a wholesaler, and that's why they want this feature.
Yes, that is a capability.
Okay, fantastic. Victor is also asking about recurring payments, so we definitely need to look more into that. Let's see. Kevin is asking, can we use a third-party gateway like NMI? I'm not familiar with NMI, but definitely look at the list of payment gateways because there's a lot of payment gateways available. Cameron is talking about an SSL issue. We're moving from the Duda SSL page to the Ecwid checkout SSL page. Sometimes that can throw an error. It's something that we're aware of and we're definitely looking into. Let's see, Mike is saying for restaurants the online ordering is quite intriguing. Cody, is there a way to integrate the geo-awareness to pop a mobile phone notification when potential guests are in the neighborhood? Okay, so what you're asking about is something called, I believe it's called geofencing. We can display a pop-up when someone's in the neighborhood and they're accessing the website. So we can get their location. Our geolocator is accurate down to about the city level. So for example, if your client is a restaurant in Palo Alto, you can show a pop-up just to people who go to the website on their mobile phone in the city of Palo Alto. As far as popping up a notification when they're not browsing to the website, that's not something that we'd be able to do. That's more of a push notification. We do have Chrome push notifications built into the editor, but they only work on a specific browser, and I don't believe you can geo-target them like that. That's something more of an app-like function, less of a website function. But it's a really good question. Let's see, another question here. Does Apple Pay work on Ecwid?
Coming soon.
Coming soon, okay. Let's see, Cameron's asking, can Duda Insights be triggered by Ecwid e-commerce event or parameters occurring? Oh, wow, that is such a good question, Cameron. I really wish the answer to that was yes, but currently it is not. It's just the list of triggers that we currently have. I would like to see more triggers available, and I think that's something that we'll be looking at down the road. Cheryl's asking, can we get multiple shipping options, including shipping by mail and shipping by courier, for example, FedEx? Definitely. You can definitely add multiple shipping options that your client's customers can select upon checkout. So if they prefer FedEx or UPS or DHL or something like that, they can definitely choose the shipping option that they would prefer. And a lot of you had said thanks. Thanks, Cody. Thanks, Eric. Great presentation. Is it possible to get a copy of your slides? Great research. Eric, if you're okay with it, I'll share the deck with these guys.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for asking your questions. Thank you, Eric, for giving a fantastic presentation and for sticking around, staying late to answer a bunch of questions. We really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for coming, and thanks again to Eric.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.